Tales from a Forgotten Realm, Part 7. What Was Lost. The owl had come back with a juicy, big, dead rat in its claws. He looked very pleased with himself. Tuin had been doing some deep thinking while the owl had been gone. He'd been trying to remember, well, anything really. The first thing he remembered was waking in the cave, but he still had some knowledge. He knew he was human and what a human was. He knew there were other races as well, dwarves, elves, and many others. He also knew that there were myriad dangerous monsters around. This thought suddenly made the forest surrounding him seem much less safe. He wanted to get out of here, but unfortunately he didn't know where he was, and he didn't know what direction to walk in. He looked up to his feathery companion, who was currently trying to swallow the rat whole, and not quite managing it. "Don't talk with your mouth full," he said to the owl. "Well, yes, I know you're not technically speaking out loud, but it's very disturbing talking to you while you're swallowing a rat down your gullet." The owl gagged, and then the rat dropped out of its mouth onto the forest floor. The owl swooped down from a branch and started to tear at the rat with his sharp beak. "You're disgusting, you know that," he said to the owl. "Yes, I know it's totally natural to you, but you realise I can feel some of what you're feeling. Half my brain is telling me that what you're doing is delicious, and the other half is trying not to throw up. It's very confusing." The owl looked up, gore covering its white face, and blinked its huge yellow eyes. "No, you are not beautiful and majestic." The owl shrugged and went back to tearing at the dead rat. Tuin sat back down on a large rock and went back to trying to remember. He had general knowledge, it seemed, but when he tried to remember anything specific about himself or his past, it was like hitting an invisible wall in his brain. Just as he thought he'd remember something, the wall would shoot up. It was almost like someone had specifically stopped him from remembering things about himself. Then he had an epiphany. He had some sort of mental link with this owl. Why not use it? "Owl!" he shouted out. The owl raised its blood-soaked head from the corpse of the rat, with what Tuin swore was an annoyed look on its face. "Yes, I know you're eating, but this is important." The owl blinked. "Yes, I know that you literally starve to death if you don't eat anything, but this will only take a moment. I need you to help me." The owl mentally sighed, rolling its eyes, dropped a hunk of rat meat, and waddled over to Tuin. It met his eyes with its eyes, and raised its wings out as if to say, "Go on then." "I can't remember my memories. There is some sort of block in my mind, stopping me from seeing things. I need to know certain things. Can you see my mind?" The owl nodded. "My memories?" The owl stared intently at him for a long moment, and then nodded. Tuin pumped the air with his fist and did an excited little dance. "Can you send me images to my mind?" The owl stroked its beak with a feathered wing, looked around for a bit, then again stared intently at him. Suddenly his mind was bombarded with image after image after image of torn apart rats, shrews, and other small woodland creatures. He'd never seen such graphic rodent viscera in his life. He threw up onto the forest floor. Once he'd composed himself, he couldn't help but chuckle a little. "You're a bastard, you know that?" The owl shrugged, then turned and waddled back to his dead rat. Tuin smiled. Progress had been made. He'd let the owl finish eating before asking his questions this time. He really didn't want to see any more rodent gore.